Hey, what's happening? This is Trevor Phipps from Unearth, and you're watching Richard Metal Fan.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews. This is episode number 135, and today's guest, we're talking to Trevor Phipps. Trevor is the lead vocalist for the band Unearth, metalcore band from Massachusetts that's been around since the late 90s. Today we're going to be talking to him about what got him into metal, as well as the history of Unearth, as well and so the new album, The Wretched, The Ruinous. So without further ado, let's go talk to Trevor. So what's up, guys? I'm here with Trevor Phipps from the almighty Unearth. How you doing today, Trevor?
Well, yourself?
Can't complain, can't complain. Hey, and so where are you at right now?
Anaheim, House
Uh,
of Blues, in the
oh
Parish
wow.
Ringers.
Oh wow, so
It's
you're
on a
already
Disney property.
on tour.
Yeah, I've been out for about a week, and it's always going great so far.
That's good to hear. So
I'm
basically kind of
working
the
on it.
yeah, so basically kind of the format is I want to talk about like your journey as an artist from where you start to now and do like a quick rundown of your catalog as well as talk about the new album. But take you back to young Trevor Phipps. So what were like the first bands that got you into metal? What made you want to be a vocalist?
The first bands that got me into metal, basically my father was a big rock and roll guy. So I grew up in the house to a lot of classic rock, like Stones, Beatles, Creedence, Steppenwolf, stuff like that. So I had a foundation for rock. And then when I was in third grade, my best friend at the time, his older brother, showed us Iron Maiden and Run to the Hills. I was hooked from that point on. I really dove headfirst into thrash metal. I love Anthrax and Negative, Metallica, um, and I found heavier stuff, Sepultura, Slayer, and Pantera. Pantera really changed my life, as well as Testament. Those two bands, just the vocal styles and Chuck Berry and Phil, someone really spoke to me. So when I was 12, I got a guitar with a small amp, and I didn't have the patience for guitar. One day I wanted to sing along to a Testament record. So I plugged in a microphone and sang along with the Practice What You Preach record. I discovered I had a voice. And fast forward about 2 years, I went to a friend's band practice, and he left, and they had me do a guest vocal. I would just come up and sing a song with them, and I was asked to be the band. A couple days later, they're going to start a new band. So my first band started when I was 15, and the band was called Lions. It's mostly thrash metal, and Pantera style stuff, mixed with some like rock influences. Like I was saying, Nirvana. So it was fun. It was fun. We did that for years, and then we disbanded. About a year later, I formed a new band with the singer, drummer, and bass player. Called the second two. I did that right until when Unearth stuff. I actually did the second revision to start on it.
Awesome. And so how'd you get to know like Buzz and the rest of the guys in Unearth?
So I was from the same area. We all grew up in North Shore near Boston. And so my band, Second Vision, would play with their band, Point Oh Four. So we did a bunch of weekends together. As we were friends, and then they wanted to change the singer and invite more um, metallic music. They were mostly a more hardcore band at the time. And so I came to practice and I heard what they were working on, and I was hooked. And that's how we started.
Awesome. And so tell me about like I believe the first like demo you did in 98. Was that like something to like send out to labels to help promote Unearth? Hang on. Hello? Can you hear me?
All right, I got you.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
So
so we put out the tape. We did a 300 quantity order of tapes back then. So we recorded in October. We put it out in December, and yeah, we were shopping to labels, but we also it basically just to build our fan base locally, just to show people what the band was working with. And we got signed very quickly to Endless Fight Records. We basically put out the same recording. We had a couple tweaks, but it was our first EP called Above the Fallen Man. It came out in May of 1990. Just essentially just our demo, just repackaged.
right. All right. And of course like this year does does mark 25 years of Unearth as a band. Like, did you think that you would be around for 25 years?
I'd always hoped to if I was going to choose this path, then I'd do it as long as I could. I still want to go until I'm very old and gray. A lot of our heroes are still going. Ozzy's still doing concerts occasionally. Judas Priest is still up. They're killing it. Um, and all the bands I grew up listening to are all they're killing it. So uh, the plan is to have longevity and do as long as we can. Have fun with it.
Awesome. And so tell me about like your first album, The Stings of Conscious. I think it's a pretty solid debut, and I believe you got signed to Uology Recordings. How did they find Unearth?
Eulogy. We were shopping at the time, and we had played some festivals and did some minor touring, and then we got the offer from Ulysses to do a full length, and we were pretty psyched. And we went in with Adam D to do the first record. We had discovered him because we had played some sort of aftershock from Western Mass, which came our band. Um, and then we did a record before the band called As the Sun Sets, and we loved the production on that. The band later turned into Daughters. But we hit him up. I called him and said, "Hey, man, we love the sound of this As the Sun Sets record. Let's do a record together." He was all for it. So that we recorded that in October of 2000, in the beginning of 2000.
Yeah. And what was the like the record cycle for The Stings of Conscious?
We did kind of like an album release, like 10-day tour in January. To Florida and back at that point, that was the longest tour we'd done. And then uh, Ken and myself, we finished uh, college at the end of May. And so our first tour was June. Our first like, nationwide tour was June 2001. And we hit the road, and we actually never looked back. We just kept on touring. Our tours kept on coming up for us. Um, we were gone quite a bit to on the record.
Awesome. And then of course, like in between The Stings of Conscious and The Oncoming Storm, you did the Endless EP. But usually when a band does like an EP in between albums, I almost kind of call it as always like a teaser trailer for as kind of like a movie reference. So like what's the next to come? Was that something to like hold fans over to wait before you did The Oncoming Storm?
Um, it was just part of our contract. So a lot of times back then, the indie labels would have built into the contract like two full lengths and one EP. And so we just had to fulfill the contract. But it was a good step forward for us because we were touring on Stings. So we were kind of finding a new blend of sound for ourselves. And so it was good to get that taste to people. And it got us bigger tours and better opportunities, and essentially got us signed to Metal Blade Records.
Yeah, and how did Blade find you guys?
We did a tour. It was in 2003, towards the end of the year. I think it was. No, it was early in the year. Sorry, it was South by Southwest was happening, and we did a showcase. It wasn't even part of South by Southwest. We was having to the gig. Um, there's a Derek Hess, the artist, did the festival called Stress Fest. And, Emos was the venue. It was packed out. It was packed to the gills, like overly full. Outside stage, inside stage, but inside stage, it was overly full. And Mike Faley from Metal Blade was there, and we had a killer show, headline inside stage, and just people erupted. So he came up after the gig and said he wanted to get his contract. So we started talking to them. We talked to some other ladies as well, but they were the most genuine to us. Pictures really well.
Awesome. And then, of course, in my opinion, you guys' masterpiece, The Oncoming Storm. I love this album. I feel like 2004 was a great year for the new wave of American heavy metal between this, End of Heartache, Ashes of the Wake, and even The Curse by Treyo. I think 2004 is a great year. And this is still like my favorite Unearth album. Like, what was like the memories making this album? Because usually with the debut, you have like your entire life and career to write, and there's a lot of hype with the first album. When it came to making The Oncoming Storm, did you feel like pressure to follow up the Stings of Conscious?
Um, no, we didn't feel pressure. We knew we were sitting on good music. We've been working on it for a long time, and we really liked what we had. We felt like the band was taking a step forward in songwriting and playing. Um, and plus, we were more seasoned from touring, so we just got better at what we were doing. So we were psyched to get in the studio to bang this one out. Um, and we were in there in March of 2004. Yeah, 2004 was a great year. It was kind of a breakthrough year for the new wave of American metal. The whole scene was exploding. It was a fun time to come up with our friends and play shows around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course next year is going to be the 20-year anniversary of this album. So is there like maybe a chance we can get a celebration of this somehow? Maybe do a tour you play this start to finish?
We did a tour on it for this 10-year anniversary. So we don't object to playing the record in full. So I'm not sure if we'll do the whole tour because we're pretty heavily supporting Wretched the Ruinous, but
Yeah.
um, we'll probably play some shows for sure.
Yeah, I just love like this whole album is a banger from beginning to end. Like the Great Dividers, hell of a opener, and like Zombie Autopilot, Light to Purify. Like this whole album is great, start to finish. Like I listen to this on repeat. It's a metalcore classic.
It's done well for us. It's a bunch of the songs are still in the set today.
Yeah,
We play the songs that people want to hear, and that was a bunch of songs in the set. Right?
yeah. And if you don't play Zombie Autopilot, there's probably going to be a riot.
That one's not always in the set, but it's almost always in the set.
All right, and then going into the next album, Three in the Eyes of Fire. Think I love this album. What was that like going from Oncoming Storm to this?
Um, that one we had to put the songs together quickly. We were touring so heavily on the Welcome Storm. We were constantly gone. So basically, we had I think it was just under 4 months to write the record before we went to the studio. And we switched up producers on this one because for Storm we were back to that and do again, but for this one, we went with Terry Date. He's a big name producer with bands like Soundgarden and Pantera, Rob Zombie, a bunch of other bands, Deftones. Um, it was really high profile, and it was the only record where we lived away from home for a long period of time. So we actually moved to Seattle, and we stayed in like a Days Inn or something for 7 weeks. And so it was a cool bonding experience to write, to finish writing the record and then to record it, and actually live in that spot with your bandmates. Um, it was a fun record to make.
Yeah, yeah, and I love it. And then the next album is The March, and I think it's
We
another great album. Can hear you. I can hear you perfect. Like next album is The March. I love this album. I know this year is also 15 years of this album. So what was like the thought process making this album?
well, we switched drummers on this one, and went with Derek Kurzweil, who's more of a groove drummer. So we slowed down the tempos a lot on this one to make it just more of a groove-oriented, uh, you know, metal meets hardcore record. Um, it's got our most streamed song of all time on there with my Will Be Done.
Yeah.
But the other songs we haven't really played a lot live. We supported the record heavily when the record came out. Just over time, we've just kind of lost favor with those songs, and with it being 15 years deep, um, we should probably revisit some of those songs. So we never played Cut Man. I thought that was a strong song. We never played it live, so I'd like to break out some songs.
Yeah, I gotta play like the deepest cuts from here. That would be awesome. Anyway, moving on to the next album, Darkness in the
Yeah.
Light. Next up is Darkness in the Light. I love this album. This is probably like my second or third favorite Unearth album. What was it like making this album?
It's not so good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have no idea. I think there was a little technical difficulties. Here,
Yeah,
check,
got me.
check. Yeah, check, check. Yep, can hear you. Yeah, yeah, it's no big deal. We'll just edit this out.
Cool. Okay.
Anyway, moving on to Darkness in the Light. I love
So
this album. Like this is probably like my second or third favorite Unearth album. What is it like making this album? Like I think it's in my opinion a very underrated album in my opinion.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we were back with Adam D to do this record, just like the March. We were back with Adam D. Um, and this one we had a different drummer again, and actually used Justin Foley from Killswitch to play the drums on this one. Um, we were looking to pick up the speed again. We went with that more groove oriented mid tempo record for the March. We wanted to get back to being a bit more fierce and faster, and more brutal, but also add some more melody to the record as well. So it's pretty intense record. Some more melodic songs than we've had in the catalog in the past, but it's a strong record that we toured on really heavily. So this entire time from '01 until Darkest Night Light, Rick's Warring, probably 8 to 10 months a year. So there's a lot of heavy touring.
Right. Right. I remember first seeing you guys on the Mayhem Fest tour in 2011. I was like 17, and that was like my first time seeing Unearth, and I was like, wow, you guys were fucking amazing. Like this whole album is great. Like Watch It Burn, Shadows in the Light, like everything about it is perfect, especially with Ken doing the clean vocals on a couple of the songs. I think between his voice and your voice just really just meshed perfectly.
That's what I mean. We went for a more melodic approach in that record with the voices on that one. We've kind of gone in and out of in our career, but that record is most prominent.
Yeah. And then next up is Watchers of Rule. Rule, I love this album. I hard to believe next year is the 10-year anniversary of this album. Like there's a lot of album anniversaries coming up for you guys, but what was like the
Yeah,
thought process making this
we get some
album?
work to do.
Yeah.
This record, uh, we wanted to push ourselves to the limit with progressive intensity. Um, just really do more. At the time, there's our last drummer, Nick Pierce. That was his first record with us. He's a really progressive, death metal drummer, death tech drummer. So we wanted to use his talents and of course Ken and Buzz and guitar. He just rip through the songs. It's a really abrasive, heavy technical record for our standards. Um,
Yeah.
it's a brutal album, start to finish.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like the swarm, like just like the fast drumming that Nick does is just like is insane. And especially like I think that's another great great
Came out of the
intro.
gate.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love this album. Like, ugh.
Yeah, we played that one a lot for years, and it fell out of favor playing live, but we played it for a while. That was a fun one.
Yeah, and then of course the last album, Extinctions. I like this album. Tell me about like this album.
This one was our first record with Will Putney. Actually, so before we go on, Watchers Rule, we work with Mark Lewis, who really specializes in death metal and progressive death. So we chose Mark on purpose for that record. He did a great job with production and but on Extinctions, we went with Will Putney. That was the first record with him. We had worked with him briefly in the past. He was working with Machine, and we did a cover song many years ago. Uh, but yeah, it was the first record with Will, and could not have had a better time with him. I really like the way he dialed in my vocals and my ears. And he's a great vocal coach. He's very intelligent with production, and he does his homework and knows how to get the best out of each member, and knows how to bring the best out of your songs. So he'll tell you when he doesn't think it's good enough, and he's fully honest. And sometimes that can be frustrating, but actually in the end it works for a better product. So you have to just keep on digging deeper until it's like the sweet spot.
All right, and then of course we have the new album, The Wretched, the Ruinous, which came out this past Friday, and I had listened to it and it's absolutely kick-ass. So, what was the whole writing and recording process for it, and how that all came to be and that good stuff?
Yeah, that's another one we did with Will. And this one we actually did stay. He's close enough, so we didn't live there for 7 weeks, but we're going back and forth quite a bit to Jersey, where his studio is. This one we really spent the time on it. Buzz wrote the entire record musically, and it took me some time to really dig in and get vocal patterns and lyrics. But once we got it all down, I think that's the most dynamic record. People are saying it's our heaviest one. I think it is it's a really abrasive and heavy record. It has a lot of melodic moments as well that when that dips, when you bring back heavy, it makes it heavier, parts seem heavier. Um, I think Buzz has gotten even better as a player and a writer. He pushed himself to be a different guitar player in this record, to bring
Yeah.
some different flavors, which then allowed me to bring in different flavors vocally. And so it is our most dynamic record to date, and it's something we're really excited to get out to the world.
All right, and of course, this is also so you also got a new player, the guitar player Peter. Peter, how does he bring any new elements to Unearth that you all didn't have previously?
Well, Peter didn't play in the record; all the guitars and Buzz. But as far as a live show, we've had Peter fill in before years ago. There's also a band called Apiary, and Flood Peak is his current band, but he's in Unearth now. Live
Awesome.
show, he's a great guitar player. He completely shreds. He's a great writer too, so we'll have to see what happens next record. He's a really unique writer. I think some cool songs come from his side. He's a great guy to tour with as well. One of the friendliest dudes you'll ever meet in your life. And he's been a great addition to the band.
Yeah, and I remember the last time I saw you guys, I went to Alabama, and he can shred. Like those, there had to be like big shoes, picking up where Ken left off. Like that had to be a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, Ken's great. He's good. He'll always be part of the story of this band, and but we got Peter killing it right now, and we're really happy with it.
And hell yeah, that's great to hear. Here, and of course, like this new album, it like I said, it's just great. I feel like the diehard fans are just really will love this album, and I feel like you guys definitely have
Thank you.
built a loyal fan base, and earned like pretty much the well-deserved success on the charts without the help from like any mainstream formats. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's our 25th year as a band, and we've played on 6 continents, and we've never reached the big time like some bands do, but we have a career playing clubs around the planet, and we're very grateful for our fans, and we will be out here putting out best music we can as long as we can. So hopefully we'll be going for a ride.
Yeah, yeah, and staying true to who you are is like the most important aspect in creating music. Zach, and like, and of course, like with
I
as
think
this
so.
is, yeah, of course, as this is like your guys' eighth album, and I feel like it's more the most rawest and heaviest album to date. How do you feel about that?
I think so too. I mean, I really think that we just pushed ourselves even extra, like that extra mile. I think a lot of I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it. Everyone went through it, but Buzz really focused on writing during that time. And he just would lock himself in in front of his computer and just write riffs. He put together some great songs, and it just really helped us all dig deeper to make the best record and angriest, most ferocious, but also most melodic at the same time. So it's a record that has not left rotation from listening to. Uh, I've had the final fire since last year, so
Awesome,
it's
and
supposed to stay in house.
awesome, and kind of like talking more about the writing process. I also like to talk about like the lyrics, like because I believe like if any Unearthed album, like I can relate to it. It's talking about like real life and positivity and sort of like struggles and everything. Does was like coming up with lyrics? Do you have to like put yourself in that mind frame, or does it come from like your own personal experience?
There's a whole variety of different lyrics I write, but it I really get emotionally invested in each song that I write lyrics for. So it's really hard for me if to cut a song because I'm so emotionally invested in every song. It's all my words. So whether I'm talking about the climate crisis, each song I'm willing to do as much research as I need to write the song. I don't want to say something that's not factual. Um, but yeah, I'll really just focus on the lyrics, and sometimes it takes me a long time to get it all right. But I have to make sure it's right.
Right, right, because you want to make sure that it's perfect. You can't just like half-ass anything.
Not never, and you're not going anywhere if you half-fast.
pretty much. And sort of like in the end to sort of wrap things up, what's next for Unearth? I know you got some tours lined up. Is just anything else with the release
Yeah,
of
we're
The Wretched and the Ruinous you'd like to plug?
yeah we're staying really busy. This tour ends at the end of May. Then we're home for 2 weeks. Then we go to Europe for just under 3 weeks. Hit a bunch of festivals, and we come back home for a day for Fourth of July. Then we fly to Texas to do just under a week of dates with Bleeding Through. We're co-headlining thing with them in Texas, and then we're working on stuff later this summer. Um, we're doing a guitar giveaway on our socials. If people take a picture of them with the record or just show that they're listening to it, they're streaming it. There's an ESP guitar giveaway. Everyone has up until May 19th to enter. Um, everything's on our socials. Everything's Unearth official. Instagram's Unearth official, and etc. You can find all the details there.
Awesome. So everybody, Trevor from Unearth. We'll see you next time.